Hello and welcome back to Design Heaven, Design Hell. I'm Tom Hadley.
And I'm Simon Cook.
We are experts in design and communication. Simon from the point of view of graphic design and web creation, and me from the point of view of persuasive branding and marketing ideas. Together, we are pretty good judges of the good and the bad of business promotion. And each week we choose a brand to review. It's all done with love. We're not here to tear anyone down, but improving businesses and brands and how they market themselves is what we do. This week, we are looking at Hully. Simon, you are this was your suggestion. Can you tell us what is it about Hully that made you think this was worthy of review?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. Thank you. So this is something that we've been thinking about for a number of months now. Essentially, not really got the space for a home office. Could we actually look at something external? And if so, what might that be? You know, how would that our garden sort of beside the house? Not quite sure. But then I came across this website, this company called Hully, based down in Southampton, South Coast, and I really liked it. I have to say, I thought it looked so much more attractive, and a lot of the home offices you see, the ones where they actually like build into sort of foundations, and that was something we couldn't do in our own sort of personal circumstance, actually. So this really caught the eye. Absolutely love the name. I love the whole kind of concept behind it, of the kind of the hull of a ship and the sort of workmanship around that, and the I don't want to say technology, because it's not really technology, but it's kind of that sort of how would you say, artisan sort of workmanship, I suppose.
First of all, great choice. Great choice. Thank you for bringing it to us. It turns out, I mean, these guys are just down the road from me. They're a fellow exactly. Hampshire business, so that's good. And I'd never heard of them. So
no.
So this is great. So I'm the one who's coming to this fresh completely.
Yeah, exactly.
So I agree with a lot of what you've said in that the immediate impact of the brand, the fact that the shape, which is intrinsic to the value of the product and the intent of the product, is there as a nice little shape in an otherwise typographic logo. And it does give it's a nicely put together site. And it does give you a sense of, we've thought things through, we care about our customers, we've put the trouble to, put sort of a fairly comprehensive information together. But of course, this is a product with a reasonably high price tag. So it's going to be, I think one of the important anchoring things to this is a consideration purchase. Nobody's just going to look at this and go, oh yeah, that looks great, let's just buy one. You've got to think about it. Now, so there's a bit of a prospect journey to go on. Now,
certainly,
when I spent a couple of minutes, as I did before we started recording, I spent a couple of minutes looking at this. One thing really popped out to me as an omission. And that is, if I scroll down the homepage here, this first image is really nice. It's colourful, yes. It's summery, it's got that get prepared for a sublime summer kind of vibe. Nice. Okay, it's an exterior shot, but that's fine. It gives us a kind of a sense of scale of the thing and what have you. As I come down, I get exterior shot, kind of an interior shot here, but otherwise exterior, and more exteriors, and that's another exterior, mostly exterior. If I jump in and I go, okay, well, let me get a sense of this thing. If I now go to the actual pods themselves, there's a nice, I like this, the way this drop down, this mega menu drop down works. That's really nice. First, choose your pod size. Cool. So let me just, for the sake of argument, I'm going to choose the smallest one, the Dory.
And I do think the names are quite sweet as well.
Yeah, the naming's good. So exterior photo.
Yeah.
Exterior photo with a rollover that still shows me an exterior. Here's a photo that actually, for the first time, makes me kind of go, oh, okay, the rollover is again exterior, but I kind of go, oh, okay, right, now, what can you actually get in this thing? And I can't really, it's quite a small image. I can't really, and this is the problem is, the problem is I can't imagine myself in this thing. And I have to be able to do that because of the costliness of the purchase. This is a dream that I, as the prospect, have to sell myself. Imagine me in here, doing my favorite hobby. Imagine me in here looking really cool on Zoom calls at work. Imagine me in here. This, that is the absolute dream I have to sell myself.
Yeah, you've got to love, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, but it's about your own usage, because this isn't like buying a car in as way as, this is tucked away in your own back garden. Yes, okay, people come around, they're going to see it, but really it's not a status purchase in that sense. It's an experiential purchase of, I'm going to spend lots of time in this structure, and it's going to be amazing because it's going to be, for all the reasons that we know. Yeah, I mean, we can very easily sit there and go, oh, I'm going to be out of the house and I'm not going to have noise and I'm not going to have disturbance and I'm not going to, be crushed in a bedroom, whatever. We know all that stuff. People will come to that already prepped with that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have even come to this site. But now it's like, I need this to feel amazing, and it doesn't. So I would really, really like, as a general observation, to just be able to kind of feel this a little bit more. Does that make sense, Ari?
There are quite a lot of things on this site, and we will obviously look at in more detail, which, it's going into a bit more granular detail. There's more kind of things that you need to know ahead of time. But as you rightly say, you've got to believe that, I could see myself in there. And I take the point on board, actually, Tom. I think that's a really good one, actually. I
think there's always two things with any, when you're trying to persuade anybody about anything, there are these two competing things. One is the logical, what I call the checklist of stuff. Is it this? Is it that? Will it do this? Will it do that? And they do that well. I mean, this stuff here on the home, I mean, this is what I would call the checklisty kind of stuff. Oh, how much is it? Oh, is it insulated? Yeah, it's this. Oh, it can deliver it. Oh, electric. Yeah. That's the checklist stuff. But what's not there is the emotional side of it.
It's sort of pull of it, right?
Yeah.
Pulls you.
That emotional pull of going, oh, I've just got to have it. I just can imagine myself in it. That want.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
No, absolutely. That does make total sense, actually. I think you're right. I think they do have an awful lot of detail. They've got a lot of information, but you only kind of want to think about that once you've already fallen in love with it, right? That's that's it.
I need to feel the love. So, from your point of view, what else is going on this site that's worthy of mention?
Yeah, so to be sort of full disclosure, we're probably looking at the middle-sized one, this what's called the skipjack one, which is quite interesting. But again, as you say, the lack of sort of maybe video or anything to sort of show that internal experience, because as you rightly point out, you see a lot of kind of the external side of things, but you kind of want to go, okay, if I'm actually sitting in this thing, how much room do I have? Could I get a desk in there? Obviously you could, but how much more room would you have? Could you get a cabinet in there? Well, whatever you might want it for, really. Yeah. But it's just, it's there's a few shots there, aren't there? I believe. Yeah,
but they don't show the whole. They don't really show. They're not. Thing is, they're not wide angle shots. They're actually fairly narrow. So I'm only seeing probably half. I'm seeing only about half of the space with this photo.
If anything, they should be making it feel like it's bigger than it kind of actually probably is,
yes.
Sort of TARDIS effect, one might say. So,
I like that. Yes, I need a TARDIS effect. That is a perfect way of describing it. What else is there? What else did you want to pick up on?
Yeah, so probably from a UX perspective, I think you made mention to me before we started this, just in terms of the size of a site. It's been around for a while, and it's obviously grown, as websites tend to do, of course. Like a garden that just sort of grows and gets, it's not being pruned and not being sort of maintained. And I think one of the things particularly is, if you wouldn't mind clicking on or hovering over the uses section there.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you've got these kind of 4 different sub pages. Working from home, funny enough, is kind of at the bottom. You might expect it to be higher up than that. And it's kind of, these pages are obviously the key things in terms of what someone might potentially want to do, but obviously there are more than those four. I mean, if you can click on that one of these ones here, so working from home. What's quite interesting here is the sort of navigation goes a bit skew, to be honest with you. So you've got a great photo.
My menu has disappeared.
Exactly. You've got a home icon up there, which will get you back. And what's interesting is you'd expect all those 4 pages to have a similar layout. They don't. So the classrooms one, for example, is quite different visually. Yeah, sorry, you have to go back to there you go. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wow. So, I mean, again, great. That's a nice photo, isn't it? That shows kind of the potential uses for it.
Yeah.
But as I say, menu goes, these look a bit more like landing pages, actually, I think. So it's sort of a case of maybe these were, supporting a marketing or promotional campaign or something, for example.
These images are quite nice. These actual kind of cross-section images.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because now I can actually go, oh, look, I can get a table and a thing over there and a small, these are much better. Where are these?
Yeah, they're great. Exactly. Yeah, no, you're right. They're really, again, and you go down here,
look, I could get a really big wide desk and 3 chairs in there. Wow, 3 people could potentially work in there alongside each other. Much nicer.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder if these are kind of newer pages, perhaps. I mean, visually they look a bit more modern, I would say.
Well, the other thing that they are is they're B2B.
Good point.
If I jump back one sec on these uses, you mentioned that working from home has been dropped to the bottom, but classroom pods, glamping, and a home salon, these are all effectively B2B uses, whereas working from home could be B2B if you're a freelancer, but it could equally just be if you're an employee who works from home a lot. So I wonder whether the business has pivoted a little bit, and in some of these B2B sectors are where they're thinking they can win. So I mean that's just a choice. But as you say, it does suddenly feel quite different.
Yeah.
These images are different. These are also quite. The 2 things are quite long pages. I mean, they've kind of stuffed a lot.
That is quite a long page, actually. Wow,
into that, but also the main part of the site. I mean, this is an e-com site. Again, if I just go back to the beginning, there's a shopping basket, and there is and shop is my primary call to action. But on these uses pages, we suddenly don't have a shop. And again, I think it's because they're thinking B2B, that we go down and what I've got is a form. And the form says, we'll get back to you with all the information you need to make an informed decision, which suggests I can't just buy this. I'm going to need now. Again,
you can't just pop it into your shopping cart and away you go.
Where there is more configuration, quite possibly. But
of course,
this is the kind of, I think the creep of this site is that it's become a little bit of a, are you B2B, are you B2C?
We're both familiar with projects where sometimes sites do grow over time and just become a little hard to manage, maybe especially if they're built on a CMS system. Often, a client will sort of work on those and it expands, and maybe it needs, from time to time, someone go in or an expert to go in and go, actually, we need to cull those pages, merge those pages, whatever it might be, just to keep that journey as clean and precise as possible.
I would be really tempted to actually kind of go with almost like, rather than these, almost kind of go business use cases, home use cases.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it's not, they call it, the main description is that it is a garden pod. But when you go to that classroom thing, well, this isn't them in a garden scenario. No, exactly. So this is different. So we're just starting to sort of mix the uses, which is fine, but it just needs, this whole get prepared for a Sublime Summer tagline doesn't really work if we're talking B2B. So what's the thrust of what they're trying to sell? So I think there is a bit of taking apart. I will just throw one other thing in there, which is just a real pet hate of mine. Please, website owners and marketers, please don't use the word more as a main menu item. It's
Yeah.
fundamentally
It's not very
under
compelling,
here.
is it, really?
No. Well, it just means
Yeah.
we dumped a load of stuff under here and we can't be bothered to think
Yeah.
about the categorization of it. And actually, there is
Yeah.
a load of stuff
Yeah.
under here that's quite useful. And weirdly, even more weirdly, there's a page called Start Here.
Wow. Okay.
Well, eh?
Under more. Right.
How
Yeah.
have you hidden the page where I'm supposed to start somewhere under a more, you know? So I mean, these are just little things. They're not the end of the world, and I don't want to sort of you know, make too much of it. But what they do is they just start to chip away at that really nice initial brand feel that we got when you start to go.
Exactly.
One other quick point for me, which is further down, which is that, you know, because this is a consideration purchase, I noticed down at the bottom there's there's a section called inspiration and information, which is great, and it's got some really good stuff. So obviously things like, am I going to be able to get my Wi-Fi to it? That's really, really useful. That's going to be a key doubt that people have, and they've addressed it. And this page has got a lot of information on it, so they've addressed it really well. So I saw that as a positive. The one that scared me was this: limited time offer. Get your Hully pod anywhere with our crane lift subsidy. I'll be honest, I don't want to think about how difficult this is going to be to get it in place. As soon as you start, oh my God, I've got to get cranes, I've got to crane. There's two things. A whole world of faff and expense just came into my mind. And B, I don't really know anything about cranes and what they can do as a consumer. But what I do know is that my neighbours are going to hate it. I do know that, you know, I can imagine there's a lot of fear and like, but what if the crane can't, you know, my house is set a little bit back, and where would the crane get? I could destroy the dream that my mind should be creating on this homepage through a big, sort of surfacing a big doubt. I know it's got to be done, but I would really introduce that a little bit later. What I noticed was that actually, if you look at the testimonials, people have talked about massive thank yous to the delivery driver. Clearly, it is possible for the delivery of these things to be a pleasant experience.
Yeah, 100%.
So they should probably use that fact to you know, kind of caveat any doubt, saying, you know what, it'll be fine, because that whole sense
it'll
of,
be
you know,
fine.
we'll take care of it. You know, it won't be a problem. You know, as long as if there's going to be a problem, we'll be able to tell you in advance. You know, and just kind of play it down, or just big reassurance around things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, as you rightly say, you know, because we're at the point now where, you know, we're very keen to go ahead, and that's the next sort of hurdle, I suppose you could say, in terms of access. That's something that we've been told, you know, through one of the sales team. I mean, they've been great so far, but that's kind of the next thing that we've got to deal with. And as you rightly say, you almost don't want it to be the reason that you can't go ahead with the dream or the idea of actually having one of these things.
So what is our overall view? Are we in design heaven or design hell with Hully and this website?
Yeah, I think the brand is 100% design heaven for me. I think the brand name, the logo, I think is a nice touch, the way they've, you know, created the sort of the hull shape and everything like that. I think the brand, you know, and what it stands for, I think that's all great. I really do. I think that's fantastic. I do think there's an issue with the UX, as sort of we just touched upon. Yeah. I think that's something that they could maybe, you know, benefit from, having some UX experts, coming in and just helping that, you know, maybe like just refining that sitemap, because it does seem it's grown over time, I think.
Yes. I think that's a really good point to end on, Simon, is that, you know, we create websites, they're great when they're launched. Website creep over time, whether it's just the proliferation of content or the fact that the business changes and the business moves in different directions, as we've guessed at here, that possibly this is moving in a slightly more B2B direction. You know, those things mean things need going back and looking over, and we can't afford to just kind of keep stuffing content into our websites without the danger that our brand starts to become a little bit more confusing and less exciting, less acceptable than when we launched. So, yep, exactly. Constant attention is the thing. I'll end on that a note of saying I think it is still in design heaven, but we can always be dragged down towards hell. On that note, thank you everybody for watching. If you want more advice or expertise from either of us on any of the points that we've raised today, it's Dual Digital for Simon, or Exodus 25 for me. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Simon, for all of your good thoughts. Take care, everybody.
Great stuff. Thank you. Bye-bye.